He's still offering up his services. All right, time for Nick to break out his updated MVP ladder. Nick, a lot's happened since we last saw it. LeBron's out with that high ankle sprain, and Embiid out with a knee injury. So take us through your updated list.
All right, one caveat again. These are not projected finishes. This is if the season throws today, where we are with the MVP ladder. 9 names on the list, expanded from 8 last time. Start at the bottom. Number 9, Kawhi Leonard. Good stats, good team, but let's be honest, it's been disappointing, and he knows it, which is why he was sounding the alarm last week. Number 8, surging, Luka Doncic. Since February 1, 43% from 3, averaging 39 and 9 since February 1 for a Mavs team that all of a sudden looks like it's itself. James Harden moving up the list as well, tied a career high with assists last night. James Harden leading the NBA in assists. He has been spectacular for the Brooklyn Nets. What hurts him, of course, is he's played for 2 teams this year, and one of those 2 teams he napalmed on the way out. All right, number 6, next group of guys. Number 6 on the MVP ladder, Giannis. Giannis's numbers are almost identical to last year, but the defensive numbers aren't as good, the team's record isn't as good, and it's going to be very hard to win 3 straight MVPs. For those reasons, he's 6th. Chris Paul, last night's a great example of Chris Paul. He had 8 points and 9 assists last night, but was a plus 17. His team is excellent, but his counting stats are so pedestrian compared to everyone else. He could fall out of the top 5, but I really do think his value is unquestionably top 5. Joel Embiid. At this point, the games missed has really started to hurt him. He's played 31. The next fewest on this list is 36. Most of the guys have played close to 40 or more than 40. So Embiid, the reason he's not 1 or 2 is purely because of games missed. Now your top 3. Dame, Jokic, and LeBron. Dame, CJ McCollum's missed 25 games. And Damian Lillard has the Blazers' position potentially move into the top 4 in the West. He's averaging 31 and 8 on the year. The Joker, there's a reason he's the Vegas favorite. He once again had another triple-double last night. His numbers this year are out of this world. And with LeBron now going to miss extended time, you know he's going to fall down the list. Why is LeBron still number 1? Because LeBron's actually played as many games or more games than everyone on this list except for the Joker and Dame. And because when LeBron got hurt, they were the 2nd best team in the league record-wise. He was clearly the best player. So the reason there's an asterisk is LeBron's going to fall precipitously down this if we do it in 2 weeks, and he's missed a handful more games. But up to this point, he's only missed 3 games on the season. So there's your MVP ladder. I have a feeling, maybe I'm wrong, I have a feeling what Brandon Marshall's going to take issue with. But there it is as we sit here today at the tail end of March.
All right, Nick, right. So what you said is if the NBA season ended today, this is where it would fall, right? Just want to be clear that we're speaking the same language here. Okay. Well, if that's the case, if you're going to have Kawhi on there, you're going to have CP3 on there, then we need to have Kyrie Irving there. That's first. Wow. Second, you talk about Embiid. You talk like if the season ended today, Joel Embiid will be the clear-cut MVP. Okay? He's doing something the game hasn't seen. We're talking about how he's shooting from the field, 50%. A little over 50% from the three-point line, over 40% from the free throw line. What is it, 80%? It's ridiculous, and it's how he's doing it. This is Akeem Olajuwon. This is KD. This is Shaquille O'Neal, all wrapped up in one. Yes, I said it, and you tried to call me out all week talking about, oh, remember Brandon was saying this, that this dude is the best player on the planet right now. Absolutely, and I'll stand on that table. Joel Embiid, if the season ended today, he'll be the MVP. But the season isn't ending right now, Nick. And you know exactly who I want to talk about. You just said, I got a feeling who Brandon wants to talk about. Who do I want to talk about? It's just clear. It's disrespect. You got James Harden at 7. Are you kidding me? Why is James Harden at 7, Nick? This dude has come in his short career with the Brooklyn Nets, 38 games, that's all. Amazing article on Sporting News. And he's done nothing but break records, franchise records, and do things that we've never really seen before from a point guard. This dude is averaging, the last 18 games, they won 16. He's averaging a 25-point triple-double. This is ridiculous, Nick. Jokic is balling right now. He's in the discussion. Right now, it's they're neck to neck. LeBron James, he's right there, but he's hurt, unfortunately. So he's out of there. He's in the same boat as Joel Embiid. It's coming down to Jokic and this guy right here. But for you to have him at the 7th, that's disrespectful. Well, you know better than that, Nick.
So here's the thing. It's not disrespectful because you mentioned he's played 38 games. He's played 38 games this season, but 8 of those were with the Houston Rockets. So he's played 30 for the Brooklyn Nets. And you said Embiid would still be #1 and Kyrie should be on the list. Those guys have not played enough. You've got to play more than 75% of the season. Harden, we are just going, you have to. Like that, you can't be a part. Kyrie is gone again after taking a sabbatical in January, which is when Harden really, by the way, that's Kyrie's sabbatical could have been good for the Nets because it allowed Harden to, it maybe facilitated the Harden trade. Yep. It's maybe why they felt the need to go all in for him.
Properly.
Maybe they'll be happy about it.
No stress dealing with, yes, I agree with you there.
Absolutely. And so, but I don't even have Kyrie's games played off the top of my head because I didn't think it was possible anyone bring him up for MVP. He's been fantastic when he's played.
He's averaging 25 points.
Brandon, there's 15 guys averaging 25 points.
This whole thing,
most of them play regularly.
Okay, well, let's go back to James Harden. What the only thing you're holding on to is those 8 games, those couple games he played in Houston. Like, this dude was still balling out in Houston. He wasn't the James Harden of last year, but he still was doing. That wasn't his fault. That was the team's fault. They lose their coach. They lose their general manager, and that's why he wanted out. So James Harden, for me, Wilds, is the thing that we need to circle, and we need to have a debate. We need to continue this discussion on live TV. We need to continue this discussion in between breaks, because this is absolutely ridiculous.
Well, Brandon, I will make a case for someone near and dear to your heart. You mentioned it sort of like in passing, but then, like a mighty phoenix rising from the ashes, the mighty Phoenix Suns rise from the ashes. Chris Paul needs to move up so he finishes top 3 in MVP for the following reasons. 1, these guys are only 2 games out of the #1 seed. And the poor Jazz are struggling 500 in their last 10 games. And look at their upcoming schedule, Nick. Orlando, Toronto, Charlotte, Atlanta, Chicago, OKC, Houston, and then the Jazz again. Hey, good news, Jazz. You will be in 2nd place by the time you play the Suns. The Suns will be in 1st place. Reason number 2, historical precedent. And I know every MVP has scored at least 23 points. Except Steve Nash, Suns point guard. There's some historical precedents for it. And Nick, reason number 3, and this is less of a point, more of a question. The ultimate conundrum. Here's the conundrum. Chris Paul's counting stats, which you mentioned. He's 60th in points. He's 97th in rebounds. Give him a break. 5'11". He's 5th in assists, and his PR is 37. So here's the conundrum, Nick. What if playing winning basketball and making the lowly Phoenix Suns the #1 team in the West, the way to make that happen is by not packing the stat sheet?
Correct.
And how are voters supposed to deal with that?
That's right. It's the original Isaiah Thomas problem. Go look at Isaiah Thomas's counting stats. People will think he's not one of the 40 greatest players ever. In reality, he's one of the 20 greatest players ever. He won at Indiana, he won in Detroit, and he did it without any other superstars because he was the ultimate point guard. Chris Paul is the modern version of that. But that's also a reason why Isaiah Thomas never came close to winning a league MVP. Because at the end of the year, there are going to be other guys that also contribute to winning who double him up in some of these counting stats. Listen, I think he's top 5. I thought he was third last year, and people gave me hell for it when he was with OKC. I think he adds as much to your team winning as any player in the league other than LeBron still to this day. But I think the counting stats are going to hurt him so much that it's going to be hard for him to really get in this conversation, Jenna.
That makes sense.
But I agree with almost everything you just said,
Yeah,
Wilds.
well,
Jump in,
listen,
Brandon.
Wilds, Nick, I would love to join this conversation about the Suns. But, Nick, you and Chris told me, a week or two ago that you told me to stop talking about the Suns. That's what I was told on this show.
No, as a
Who's talking about the
championship
Suns?
contender. Yeah, that's correct. That's
okay,
correct.
all right. I would love to
It's
join
a
the
regular
conversation,
season
Jenna,
award.
but Nick told me we can't talk about the Suns on this show. Sorry.
No,
But
we
great
can't
point,
talk about the
Wilds.
Jazz on this show. We can't talk about the Jazz. We can talk a little bit about the Suns. We can't talk about the Jazz on this show. No Jazz on this list either, Jenna.
All right, we're going to have Antoine Walker and a little bit later have his input on Nick's ladder here. We got to shift back to football now. Aaron Rodgers wants the Packers to tell him he's not just a lame duck quarterback. Is it on the board? This will be the MVP's last year in Green Bay.